What's going on, guys? Reaper here, and welcome to Reaper's Papasan Supply. So in this episode of the collection, we're going to be taking a look at a uniform grouping that has essentially become kind of one of my favorite parts of the collection, and for various reasons, but we'll get to that in a minute. So the uniform grouping belonged to a captain that was in the 9th Medical Laboratory in Vietnam.
Squadron 1161. Roger, check 3.
So if you've never heard of 9th Medical Laboratory, or 9th Med Lab, don't worry guys, because to be perfectly honest with you, until I purchased this uniform, I hadn't heard anything about them either. There's very little information out there on them, and doing any research on 9th Med Lab has yielded very little information or results, other than just the basics of how they were put together, what years they were in Vietnam, and just some of the little things that they did or were a part of. But beyond that, there's hardly any information. For the most part, they were around the Saigon area from about 66 to 72. They were also a part of the 44th Medical Brigade. So when I purchased the uniform lot, I was given these pages that were originally printed off of the 9th Med Lab website. Unfortunately, that website doesn't seem to exist anymore. So finding further information beyond what I have here and just a few little tidbits on the internet, I haven't been able to track down much or hardly any information on their actual role in Vietnam. Looking at this, it was printed off in 2007. So the individual I purchased it from purchased the uniform lot, I believe, possibly from the gentleman's family, because he has passed away quite a few years ago, unfortunately. Or it was picked up in a estate sale that unfortunately just leaves lack of further information, and what I have here is what I have here. But the nice thing about it is that I do have 2 pairs of his dog tags and his full name. I have not, however, gone through and put in the paperwork to try and get further information on his military service or career as of yet. But that is something I'm going to be doing here in the very near future. Now, when I purchased the uniform lot, there were specifically 2 reasons why I went ahead and bought it. Now, number 1 being that a majority of the patches that are or come with the uniform are all in country or hand embroidered, and as you guys know, that's a big part of my business. Number 2 reason, the guy was actually semi-local, Springfield to be exact, and I thought that was really neat and something that I just wanted to go ahead and grab up and kind of do further research on. Okay, so when I first found this uniform, this is really what stood out to me at first, was the hand-embroidered name and service tapes, and of course, both of the in-country pocket hangers. 44th Med Bay, or Medical Brigade, and then the 9th Med Lab, Medical Laboratory. I thought these were really interesting because honestly finding original pocket hangers are quite difficult now, and it was really cool to find this. And of course, that's hand embroidered. In fact, the only thing on this uniform that isn't hand embroidered, rank, and this. So I just couldn't pass it up. But I've only seen one other 9th Med Lab patch, and that was from a Google search from an old auction. So a past auction, somebody had purchased it. I believe it was a pocket hanger and a wall plaque that sold together. The only difference between this one and the one I found online is that this one seems to be all machine embroidered, and the one online was all hand embroidered, but they're pretty much the exact same thing, which is really cool. And then of course the cowboy style hat with the Vietnam rocker in the woven type patch, which I really like this. However, I think it's very interesting that it's blue instead of red. Normally you see red over blue, but you do see some blue. So that's another thing that kind of drew me to this uniform grouping, is having the Vietnam rocker in blue. Of course, he's got his captain bars on the top of the hat there. And then we come down to here, which I've got both his pants and the jacket. Now the jacket is dated 69. I'm pretty much assuming that Druitt was over there roughly between 69 and 72. I don't have an exact date yet. Like I said, I'll have to look into that and get information on his service. But it came with a spare set of U.S. Army and name tape, both hand embroidered. And you can really just see it there. Now, the interesting thing is that you look at his name tapes here that almost looks like actual issue tapes. However, if you look closer here, every one of them is a little bit different in this stack, and then you've got the type of backing that they used. But you look at them and how they're done, they're actually in-country machined on original webbing, which I find to be pretty interesting. I hadn't seen too many in-country patches done on actual name tape webbing made via machine or even hand embroidered, but they definitely are, and I think that stands out in itself. That's really cool. Now, of course, I've got a couple postcards here from his family that were sent back and forth between him and them, but I'm not going to show the information or anything on that right now for personal reasons, and just because I don't know if this gentleman's family is still around or if they want anything to do with this at all. I do have a phone number, very old phone number, along with address and his information where he used to previously live in Springfield. Okay, so I know there's not a whole lot to this grouping, but the patches and the mystery of 9th Med Lab alone makes it all the more worthwhile to me, and it gives me something to kind of research and just learn something new that I didn't know about or hadn't even heard about in regards to the Vietnam War or Vietnam and some of the roles and things that took place, especially in the medical side of things. I always thought that was really, really interesting. So since I do have 2 pairs of this gentleman's dog tags, here in the near future I'm going to go ahead and send out the paperwork and see what I can get back and find out on Captain Druitt here. That being said, because 9th Med Lab is relatively mysterious, I went ahead and created a group on Facebook specifically for the 9th Medical Laboratory in Vietnam to see if I can find any veterans or other collectors or historians that know a little bit more about 9th Med Lab and just kind of everything they did in Vietnam, as well as, you know, started it up for people that are interested in the medical side of things that took place in Vietnam and, well, even 9th Med Lab itself, to figure out and find out more information on lesser known or heard of units or programs that took place during the Vietnam War and, of course, in country itself. Anyway, instead of reading everything that's on these pages to you guys, I'm just going to take a photograph and put it at the end of the video. So if you want to, you can just go ahead and pause on that section of the video and read on down the lines, or you can go ahead and check out the 9th Medical Laboratory Facebook group, link in the description below, as I'll go ahead and post these pages there as well, and I'll be posting more information as I come across it or find out more on 9th Med Lab and their role and everything in Vietnam. And of course, if you happen to be a veteran that served with 9th Med Lab in Vietnam and or happen to have more history on their overall role in Vietnam, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And of course, guys, if you like this episode of the collection, be sure to hit that like button. And if, like me, you'd like to know more about 9th Med Lab and Captain Druitt's role with 9th Med Lab, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because I will definitely be doing a follow-up video on this whole uniform lot and Captain Druitt himself in the very near future. As always, guys, stay frosty, and I'll see you on your next tour.